Welcome, everybody, to the Business Brains on the Bottom Line podcast. My guest today is Reed Hensen. He's the Chief Growth Officer at MarketSurge. Welcome to the show, Reed.
Thanks so much. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, so first off, what is MarketSurge, by the way? And what was the genesis of that?
Absolutely. So MarketSurge was founded...
Oh, by the way, I have to stop you, Reed. You didn't pick up on my hat.
well, I am happy to connect with anybody with any Italian ties. Though I don't have much Italian ancestry myself, I did study. I majored in Italian in undergrad and have been there about half a dozen times. I lived there for 2 years. Loved Italy and all things Italian.
You think you'll go back someday?
The goal is to retire there. And because my wife also speaks Italian, and we would love that. That would be our dream.
Yeah, I'm getting my citizenship in February, so I'm gonna have dual citizenship. Right. So I don't know if I'll ever fully retire there. I got kids and they live in the States. Well, I don't know if I could ever do that, but I definitely want to spend time over there, net. So, just figured I'd cover that because I know we touched on that before.
Absolutely,
a couple weeks ago. But back to the subject matter at hand. Your marketing. It's such a broad term, right? And I've always had an interest in marketing, and I'll give you my take on it, and you can kind of give me yours and what the direction you see it go. Marketing is such a kind of a nebulous term that, all these companies spend all this money on marketing, and quite frankly, no one knows what works. Right? Like I heard a line recently, someone said, I know that 50% of my marketing dollars work and 50% of my marketing dollars don't work. The only problem is I don't know which works and which doesn't. Right? And I think that it's a funny line, but it's actually true, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely true. And, I one consideration and something that I remind clients and people I work with is that most sales don't happen until there have been 7 touches between the client and the brand. And some of these happen organically, some happen at your future customers with their effort, and some can be engineered. And so that adds further confusion to the mix of do I try to engineer these? Do I try to find more people that are curious or in a buying mood? There are so many levers and variables to consider. It is challenging. But, I'd say for the 50-50 equation, I think it's valuable to think about how do I generate the most possible touch points between my business and my ideal customer, and then seek ways to quantify any of that activity and tie it to.
It's hard. I've always said, kind of using my terminology, getting someone to raise their hand and say, I'm interested is hard.
Yeah.
Because think about it on a daily basis, Reed. We're bombarded with stuff on every social media platform, email, text messages, it's just noise at some point. How do you stand out? Right? Yeah.
And it is a challenge because, I think for a lot of most businesses, there's the large businesses that are so polished and have the, just very professional, stylized outreach. But for the rest of us, we can't quite hit that level with our marketing budgets. And so I think we're in an era right now, largely because of the volume of communications we get and the introduction of AI generated content, that authenticity is everything. It almost is, it's to the point where just a little bit of sloppiness or a little bit of grit on your messaging just kind of acknowledges that a human actually wrote this, or that there's a human on the other end of this.
So you touched on something, AI,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Mhm.
thinking over the years. At one point, it was digital transformation. All these every kind of few years, there's a new hot topic. But AI is really kind of front and center right now to everybody, right? Chat GPT, machine learning, however you want to call it. How is that affecting marketing? What do you think?
Well, significantly, and in a lot of different areas. So, uh, the activities that my firm really engages in is we do marketing automation, which, as you described, it helps increase the amount of communications you can send out. So via email, text, or even like phone drops, phone voicemail drops, or auto dialers. So we have all these tools. We have ads management. We have SEO. So I'm kind of operating in the digital marketing space. There's other print and display and event marketing that's a little bit outside of my purview. But in
Sure.
the digital marketing space, obviously we're going to be the first to be hit with AI. Now, at first, it was everybody kind of raced to use these tools and quickly saturated the market with AI sounding
Sure.
blogs, AI sounding emails, and so that started off the marketing and AI relationship as kind of a bad foot. So, but what has been nice and has been introduced a lot more lately are some tools that help maybe to be a full stack marketer. That's an immense amount of
Yeah.
technical skill. And most business owners do not have the time to acquire all those skills. But with a lot of these platforms, the AI allows you to generate professional quality graphic designs, templates. It does help you ideate, iterate, and even generate a lot of data analysis based on what you have. So there's some great uses for internal cases as well. AI is affecting SEO. Most of us have websites that we are trying to generate business off of a good, solid Google ranking. But Google, in reaction
What
to a
is
lot
a
of the, okay,
what
go
is
ahead.
an SEO just for the folks out there?
Yeah, sure. And so search engine optimization is common practice for anybody that has a website. There's definitely steps you can take to help your ranking and make it hit higher when you search for something on Google. Now you can hire a consultant, and in many cases, the consultant will help you implement some technical changes and add content to your site that Google will read
Sure.
and cite as authoritative. Now, so with AI, it's much easier to generate large volumes of content, and in reaction, Google changed the rules of this,
Ah, they did.
and yeah, so
When
they
was
so
that?
they don't, so they no longer. So their algorithm now incorporates a lot more dialogue based, like it's almost like it wants frequently asked questions as the keywords it prefers in rankings, rather than the keywords themselves. So if you are, say you're a butcher and you have been trying to rank really high on deli meat, and people that search for deli meat near me now, Google no longer, they've prioritized, how do I find a great butcher near me, a question rather than the keyword deli meat near
Right.
me. And now on top of that, the second curveball that they throw is they have they actually have their crawler and Gemini reading websites, and they will provide an answer to the question in a block, so above the fold, so to speak. And it actually has reduced the amount of traffic that they're sending to these websites by about 30 to 40%, because they answer the question
Right.
in the search
That's a
rather than.
great point. I've been noticing that now that you mention it. Like I ask a lot of health questions. Is
Yeah.
this vitamin, is this supplement good for you, and what does it do? And I get answers back versus sending me to. So I'm not sure which I like better. Let me think about that one.
Yeah, yeah, and it is a battle for real estate. I think Google started to realize that they were competing with people now doing search on the Chat GPT interface itself.
Yeah.
So they do that same search. They'd say like, I need a butcher close by that's open on Saturdays or something, and they'd go to Chat GPT instead of Google. And so Google, they thought, okay, well, we need to provide AI looking answers or we'll get buried by the new GPT. And so right or wrong, I did see a statistic that of the top 50 news outlets, 47 saw like a 25% drop in traffic in just the last year because of that. So news and content providers are getting hit.
Why did they do that? To be just more judicious in how they approach things, or what was the?
Yeah, I think it's they realized. So they want to be valuable, and they don't actually care who about the traffic that they send to other websites. So they want people to keep coming back so that they can serve on the first search. They can serve them the data snippet, the paragraph, and then on the second search they serve them more and more ads, and which is where they make their money.
Right.
So they want to hold on to their piece of the pie. They're a little bit behind the game. They're kind of playing catch up with Gemini versus ChatGPT.
Yeah. So, I mentioned this earlier. Marketing to me is just, I've never really I understand it, but I don't understand. It's more of an art versus a science sometimes. But I think it's getting more scientific because of technology,
Yeah, definitely is. And the amount of data that we can study and synthesize, and even at kind of like, so I'm not a scientist, I'm not a statistician, but the amount of data that we can synthesize with more powerful computing, and I mean, going back to AI, was working with a client to help define by zip code. She'd kept a record of past sales, and we were able to go zip code by zip code in this large metro area and tell her which zip code she should advertise in, because those zip codes are significantly more profitable per client. And, so it's like thousands of data points that we synthesized, and the AI engine was able to spit out, you got to do this. And it's just remarkable. And we're still, it feels like we're kind of at the beginning of this.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You got me thinking about this whole Google searches. And I swear, say I have an interest in I'll give you a perfect example. Like I've been thinking about maybe trying to level my lawn. I got some bumps in it. Grass looks really nice, but trying to level my lawn. I must get 20 feeds a day on how to do it now.
Right.
On all the social media. And I never even did a search, or it must have heard me talking about it. I mean, it's amazing. Again, the technology that's out there that can kind of funnel what you need and funnel those solutions to you. Right.
Well, you brought up a lot of points. There's a lot of technologies that are listening to you, whether it's your searches. You might see in the background, my television will occasionally turn on when I'm on these Zoom calls, because apparently it's always listening, and it will hear like something like, some word, and it'll just flip on. It drives me nuts. But, the Amazon Alexa, it's always listening. We're well aware of geolocating technologies. So if I set foot in a certain store, like a fishing supply store, I'm going to be served a bunch of fishing gear ads. Right. Or if I step into an auto dealership, I'm going to get bombarded by the other dealerships in the area. And wisely they geofence these areas, and they can tell where our phone has crossed. And and I think honestly, it's a competitive enough world that you do need to take stock of those opportunities that are available and leverage those for your ads. Retargeting is extremely valuable for ad spend.
Yeah. So, I mean, technology is obviously taking a bigger role in marketing, but there's got to be some tried and true marketing practices, right, that you try to adhere to. Talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that you should really emphasize the value of retention and referral or renewal in your marketing. Those are potentially low to zero cost opportunities to get business quickly even. Yeah. New sales, very expensive. It's hard to cross that threshold of persuasion and trust with a stranger. But with a repeat client, especially those that have been very happy with you, you can hit them up for positive reviews, which then generate their own traffic and magnetism back to your brand. Then you can also solicit them for renewals or re-ups, and you give them offers. And then the same thing for referrals. You give them a bonus. You propose a special deal for those that they refer, and that can turn quickly into business. And I'd say that's a tried and true method to keep your pipeline steady, at least set a baseline. You need to work on people that have already done business with you.
Yeah, that makes sense. As I've been in sales my whole career pretty much, and anytime I would change jobs, go to a new company, my first line of defense was always, okay, what's the install base look like? What's my customer base look like? Let's start there. Let's reestablish all those relationships that some may be idle, some may be not, and then go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it reminds me of my time at Oracle. We use that terminology as well, install base.
I didn't know that you were in technology for a while.
I was, yeah. I had 2 stints at Oracle, once working in middleware, selling middleware, and then second we worked on a big data appliance, trying to sell that. And it's very critical to in the close, like you said, you want to know the install base like inside and out. You want to be their best friend, walk in lockstep with them, because there's a lot of additional value in the trust you develop and the additional things you could be doing for them. So, extremely, extremely valuable to have those tight relationships.
Yeah. So what would you say, everyone's looking for the magic wand, right? Like what separates me from you and you from me and every other marketing company out there. But what do you think your specialty is? Like what separates you from the other guys? Because that's really where it meets the road, right? Like you approach a customer and you make an offer, say, I can help you and this is how I can help you. What's your pitch there? And I'm not trying to make this a sales pitch. I'm just curious, right?
Yeah. So, I look at it as at least our approach. Now, the tools are available to anyone. The execution is very important, how you do this precisely. But I do like to frame what we do as building a lead generation machine. Now, as you know, and think about it in a factory. When I interned in a steel fabricating plant, or molding plant when I was in college, and you'd feed the steel sheets in and out would come shelving. And, we would keep track of how much we could generate per day. And, but you had to keep feeding it. And if there were gaps in the process or if the machine itself overheated or needed to go down for maintenance, that of course affected the output. So the machine you have to build is one that generates the outcome you want. And, however you reach your ideal customer. Now we think about it in this process. Are you feeding enough into the machine? Is the machine working efficiently and effectively? And, that's also incorporates the subscriptions you're paying for or the cost of the leads that your ads are producing. And, and you have to be refining, you have to be swapping out parts and, there will be downtimes for maintenance. Sometimes, not for positive maintenance, sometimes Google Cloud goes down, and then your output is like, are you delivering? Are you actually producing quality work, and therefore able to keep the process running? So we work with small and medium-sized businesses, particularly solopreneurs that are good at something. They're a photographer, they're a HVAC professional, they get great reviews, but they suffer from the cycle of their calendar's full, they have no time to sell. And then they are selling for another month, waiting for the calendar to fill up. They fill up, and they're really only operating at half capacity. So they need a machine that runs while they work. And we provide that.
Yeah, the one thing I notice, about marketing is, and we've all seen it, right? A lot of companies, they do the same type of ads, the same type of messaging. Right. And I know there's no specific answer for this, but how do you keep that messaging unique to grab some of the attention? Because that's the name of the game, right? How can you have someone see something, look at it for 10, 15 seconds and go, hey, man, I'm interested in that?
Yeah. Well, there's a few things that we consider. But one is we like to use the words of the clients themselves, the happy clients themselves. We'll borrow exact phrasing from reviews. If we get a chance, we try to interview happy customers and pull from that. They'll often point out things that we hadn't thought of. Or an individual specific use case, or enable us to tell kind of a story, kind of like a happy arc where they started at one point and then they came in for a photo shoot and it just changed their lives. And that storytelling really does seem to engage. Wherever possible, using video content, behind the scenes type video content that usually includes hiring videographer to follow you for a day. Yeah. Not everybody wants to do that, but it really does pay. And I'd say, just trying to be creative, concise, and catchy.
Get the messaging straight, right? And what separates you from everyone else.
Exactly.
And I don't expect you to give me exact numbers. It's private stuff. But how does a company like yours work with these companies on a cost basis? Is it on production? Is it per campaign? How does that typically work in your industry? That's always interested me as well.
Yeah. So there's a few different ways. For the most part, we work on retainer, and we don't do long-term contracts. So, essentially, you pay us 30 days up front for each of the services we offer, and we do have to re-earn your business every month. So if you're unhappy with the ads, how they're performing, you cancel, and we lose that business. So we're definitely incented. Yeah. If we fortunately, we're a little bit distant from the actual close of the sale. And so, we don't work on commission typically. So mostly retainer. There are some custom projects we do that would be a custom website or, custom duration. So, typically it's time and materials. And we do occasionally do an app, and that will be time and materials as well, with the kind of the bigger team that gets included there.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's because you got to earn their business every month, right? Yeah. So that gives you the incentive to keep working hard on their behalf.
Absolutely. Yeah. We take a 2-week vacation that month, and the business just evaporates. So we do have to kind of staff accordingly so we don't overlap vacations, and make sure that everybody's getting a steady level of support and success.
Yeah. Is it hard to gather all the metrics on your campaigns?
Yeah, it is. It does take some real effort. Now, we have clients that engage only for using our platform for automated texting, and there's not much to analyze there. They just need that available when they need it. If they're sending out a promo, and that's all they need. Now, others are quite a bit more complex, and we use dashboards that embed the reports that pull from the various softwares so they can see it all in one place.
Yeah.
And, there's a free tool that actually has some AI embedded. I'd recommend this for anybody. The Looker Studio that's available in the Google Suite can pull data from Google Sheets, and basically you give it like a ton of data and it'll tell you what kind of report you need. And you can then create an iframe report that you paste it into your dashboard. And it really helps life quite a bit.
Yeah. I've often said, okay, I'm in technology as well. We work for an IT consulting company. We run campaigns, and if someone sees something and then says, "Hey, I'm interested," and calls up the company and we start an engagement, unless they tell you where they saw it from, there's almost no way to know.
The attribution.
A lot of times you don't even ask. They'll say, "Hey, have some interest in your products and services. Can you refer me to your local representative?" And we're off and running. But that's sort of it's such a man. Even if you did ask everyone that called, it's such a manual way of doing it, right?
Yeah, it is, and it's sometimes it's often inaccurate. Like if say you had a form where you said check the box where you've learned about us, or if you ask, sometimes just on the spot they'll say like, I heard about you on LinkedIn or something. They may not even remember where they heard about you.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that.
Right.
They say, "Where did you hear about us?" And I go, I don't really remember. I kind of pick one.
I know. Yeah, exactly. If it's a required field on a form, it's almost guaranteed to be wrong.
Yeah.
And the use of, fortunately, we still have an open window where a lot of cookies are available. So using data and analytics, and in many cases, you can tie it to like a form completion on your website, and you can see what other pages they've hit. So potentially they read a blog, they watched a demo video, and then they filled out a form, or you could even see that they came in from syndicated search or something to that extent. But it is tricky. It's great to gather as many data points as you can. There's a few technologies you can cobble together, the Google Tag Manager and Facebook Pixel, that do provide a degree of tracking across websites. And, fortunately in the US, like we can use a lot more data than in Europe. And, I think that window is going to still be open for a couple of years that we can do that.
Kind of a silly question for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where everything is so digital, and we've become immune to the masses of information that we receive on a daily basis, right? Every social media platform, I get 1 million texts a day, emails. Do you think print media will ever come back a little bit? Because honestly, I kind of think it will. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm kind of thinking, if I'm a decision maker, say at a company, and I get like a letter in the mail from I may open it up, because who gets letters anymore?
Right.
Or a package or something,
Yeah. And to your point, like the volume of print mail has gone way, way down. I actually agree with you. I think that there is an opportunity in print right now, and mailers there, and I'll even throw in, there's some digital opportunities tied to this. A lot of times on print, you can do very specific codes on there and say, scan this code on this print postcard I sent you for 20% off. And then you can see exactly where that scan came in from, what the address of the person that you sent it to.
Yeah.
And, and have a digitized trail for that person. But I do think there's opportunity. There's like novelty in it. And
I'm thinking more of a targeted approach versus mass mailing, right? Like, say you have 20 targets that you're trying to gain entrance. You could put a package of something, a gift, a goofy something or other in there to get their attention, and they open it up and go, "Wow, this guy sent me something, or this lady sent me something," So I don't know. Call me.
No, you're totally right. Yeah. I think that's a great approach. You send a care package or, a print pitch, I think it would really catch people's eye.
Yeah. But to change direction here for a second, you touched on something that I've been thinking about recently is, I talked to my mailman and, I get like one piece a day now. I mean, no one. I mean, back in the old days, you get a stack this big. So I asked him. I go, how? And he's an older guy, so he's probably going to retire soon. I go, how many more years do you think the mail's even going to be around? He goes, I give it 2 years. Now this is his opinion.
Oh,
now,
wow.
Because you really think about it, the U.S. mail lost $9 billion last year.
Yeah.
And really, what are they doing, right? I mean, so I think they should privatize it personally and absorb it into a FedEx or something who's much more efficient at it. But who sees? What do I know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I know. I was kind of going there the same place in my head as you started. I would fully expect Amazon to be taking over the mail system in short order.
Well, as a general rule, we all know this, and this is not being political. Any kind of government agency runs something, you think inefficient, right?
Right.
Not that there's not good people there, not that there's good people with good intentions and work hard and all that, but just the efficiency piece of it. That's just a management top down, type system, but whatever. But well, Reed, this was great. I really enjoyed talking to you. Marketing something is being in sales my whole life. I've always had an interest in, okay, how do you get customers to raise their hand? It's always just been a big topic of interest, for all us sales folks, because, that's the lifeblood of what we do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've kind of switched camps, from the sales to marketing now. And, I can definitely appreciate the struggle of both camps, because the salespeople need, a foothold, and the marketing people may not appreciate all the nuance that the sales team relies on. And,
they just think, why don't you go out and get new customers?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, easy. If the queen had balls, she'd be king.
She'd be king.
I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's, I think it's an ongoing challenge, and fortunately we do have some pretty decent data sources that the internet can provide for now. And, we'll do our best to analyze those and try to prove the value of marketing. Sales is pretty easy to prove the value. You're either closing or you're not.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, at any rate, Reed, I think we'll kind of close on that. But if anyone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Yeah, so you can reach out to me on my website, MarketSurge.io, or REED at MarketSurge.io. That's my email address. Either way, happy to chat, network, bounce ideas off. I'd love to meet new people, and it's been a delight to be on here. I really like your perspective, and always will try to befriend every Italian I meet.
Yeah, there you go. We're the best.
You are the best.
I can't claim to be an Italian yet. I'll be an Italian in about 6 months, but all my bloodlines come from Italy. All four of my grandparents are from Italy, so I consider myself an Italian American. But I'm an American first. Let's not make any mistake about that.
Fair enough. So, yeah, cool. But it's
all right. Well, thanks again for being on the show. Really appreciate it. And that's it for another edition of the Business Brains and the Bottom Line podcast. Till next time.